As a hospital corpsman, you are responsible for displaying key features like service with distinction, using professional ethics. This means that you have to be different, you have to make a difference. You've got to turn heads and have them asking, what is she or he doing over there? Again, in a professional manner. Let's briefly talk about the history of how the Corps emerged. Now, on March 2nd, 1799, basically over 200 years ago, Congress said, I declare warships to have a cockpit or sick bay for injured sailors to be treated in. In those early days, the surgeon's assistants were called loblolly boys. The word loblolly was derived from what sailors called a thick porridge served to injured soldiers. It's kind of funny how these assistants were not named for their more dramatic medical responsibilities, but more for what they served for lunch. Loblolly boys were introduced and popularized through all of the Quasar War and the First Barbary War. Unfortunately, most of the names of these prehistoric corpsmen were lost in time. However, just a few recorded OG loblolly boys exist that we know about, including John Wall, who is considered the Navy's very first loblolly boy, John Doman, who was the first loblolly boy prisoner of war, and John Anderson, who was the first African-American loblolly boy. Since the name loblolly boy gained so much traction in the Navy, it was later on decreed an official name in 1814. The enlisted medical personnel were given several variations in titles and rates since then. Surgeon stewards were the first enlisted rates. In addition, there were nurses who were later on replaced by titled baymen, and even apothecaries. Apothecaries, by the way, are those who prepare and dispense medications and drugs. In the meantime, it took several decades for the Navy Medical Department to properly organize its hospital corps. On June 17, 1898, Congress approved and President William McKinley signed into law appointing the ranks of pharmacists and several ratings such as hospital stewards, who were chief petty officers, hospital apprentice first class, who were third class petty officers, and hospital apprentice. Afterwards, the Secretary of the Navy appointed 25 senior apothecaries as titled pharmacists. Cornelius O'Leary was one of the 25 chosen who had already had 38 years of experience under his belt. Another early hospital corpsman was Robert Stanley, who was also appointed the title chief pharmacist in his later military career in 1923. This man had a vast history of military experience. His career was straight out 40 years. And at an early age, he was awarded the highest decoration, Medal of Honor, as a hospital apprentice in 1901 when he was just 19 years old. In 1916, just before America stepped foot into World War I, during the time of the war in France and the occupation in Haiti, the hospital corps structure was even further refined, adding titles and rates like hospital apprentice, hospital second class and first class, pharmacist mate third, second, and first class, and even chief pharmacist. Red Cross badges, insignias, were added to their sleeves, signifying their duty and general roles. It is believed that this is what set the foundation for the current system of rank structure today. You can even argue that World War I really spearheaded the reputation of the hospital corps. The achievements the Corps earned during the time were staggering, while the loss was devastating. 15 soldiers were killed in action, 2 died from their wounds, and 146 wounded. But out of grief and sorrow, 460 awards were earned, including 2 Medal of Honors, 55 Navy Crosses, 31 Distinguished Service Medals, 2 United States Army Distinguished Service Medals, and 27 letters of commendation.